Alright, so here's, I'm going to do a little bit more detailed tour of the comic book room that I have. We'll start over here with my 8-inch clothed NECA figures. I like the horror ones, in particular Roy from Friday the 13th Part 5, and the two Freddys from Nightmare on Elm Street 3, which are pretty cool. And then I started collecting a lot of the new Mego figures, so I've got those on the wall as well. Particularly the Hammer ones, which are kind of cool. Frankenstein's over on the other side with the Frankenstein stuff. A couple more NECA figures there. And then if we go up here, we have the McFarlane Frankenstein and the McFarlane Army of Darkness Ash figure. I've got my classic X-Men figures, carded ones, the 4 over here. And then if we head our way over this way, we've got the Batman movie figures. And then there's Two-Face and the Riddler back there, although you can't see them behind the giant Batman. And the De Niro Frankenstein model, which painted and assembled, and had my tailor do the coat for. The Talking Ash from McFarlane, which doesn't talk anymore, but he still looks cool standing there. So there we go, with the Toonie Terror and the Japanese female Ash, which I just thought was a cool figure. And then tucked back there is the Evil Dead Book of the Dead DVD. All of the Secret Wars figures, even though you can't see them all, they've been layered just because I don't have the space. Particularly cool are the foreign ones, which you can see here, Constrictor, Iceman, and Electro. Go down to this shelf. I got my favorite ones in the front, like Wolverine and Daredevil and Black Suit Spider-Man. And then, I believe, with the exception of the movie Dr. Fate statue that McFarlane came out with, or whoever came out with that this is pretty much everything Dr. Fate has been made, or has been made of Dr. Fate, including little Lego guys. I got most of the Black Adam stuff, again, except for that statue. Just don't have room for it. A lot of the little figures, little statues, DC Frontier, the two Pops. And then we have Creeper, Question, Killer Moth, just some of those B-list characters that I have a liking for. And finally down here, just the other random stuff that I have, random figures that I like. Newest thing being Man-Bat right there, the McFarlane Man-Bat, which is very cool, and then some random Hulk in the background. If we go over here, we have my first rack of graded books. There are some pretty good keys here, and a couple custom labels, actually, which are kind of neat. In particular, I kind of like this one. This is the CBCS Venom that I had Sam De La Rosa do a sketch and sign. I actually had him sign the case, because I'm not really a big fan of people signing books. Even though I do have some Signature Series books, they are not my preference. We've got this is an interesting story, the Batman Adventures number 12, which was a 7.0, and then got it pressed and sent it back in, and it came back at a higher grade, which was kind of neat. I like my She-Hulk, Savage She-Hulk number 1, 9.6. Better than a lot of 9.8s, because I like the way that it laid out, where you can see the entire circle. You can see the whole Comics Code Authority box. It was just cut better than a lot of the 9.8s, so I went with that. My 3 movie posters that I have over here, these are originals. The Creepshow one is folded, as you can see, the fold marks. Then we have Incredible Hulk art. It's all from the Jeff Purvis, Peter David run. Terry Austin inks on that one. The McFarlane Hulk poster, which is very cool in my opinion. And these were inked. This one was inked by Herb Trimpe. The other two I think were Marie Severin. And an Al Milgrom page of the Rick Jones Hulk, which is kind of cool. All of my raw books are stacked here in alpha order. The black box at the top is all Daredevil from run from number 2 to 135, I think. And then these are Tales to Astonish, the Hulk boxes, Tales to Astonish, pretty much the entire Hulk run up until like the mid-400s. And then, of course, Wolverine in his Wolverine box. Still waiting for someone to come out with a Punisher box for all my Punisher books. Would love to see that someday. And then I've got 5 boxes of graded books. Pretty much just generic A to C, I think, in here. And then this whole box is graded Frankensteins. Most of the from the golden era. So these are all briefers, graded briefers. And then 2 boxes of Incredible Hulk, of course. The other from 3 to 6. And then I have the entire run starting at 319 all the way to 381, 9.8, which is kind of just a personal goal. And then some other random graded books, Alpha Order in here. A lot of Punisher. I was a big fan of the Garth Ennis run on Punisher, so got a bunch of those there. In the corner, we have a box of Disney. And then I've got 3 boxes of miscellaneous A to Z, just stuff that wouldn't fit over here. And then my Modern Hulks and Immortal Hulks. So the Hulk volume run from the 1999, and Immortal Hulk is in there. We've got the, I don't know, I'm a sucker for Part 8, I don't know. And then this is the original art for Constantine alongside the actual comic. Really loved the werewolf cover. Thought it was pretty neato. And then these are just 9/8 of a bunch of different covers from like the 80s era and early 90s of just books that I really liked. You know, covers that I just thought were really awesome that I wanted in high grade. In particular, Bob Layton's, probably his best Iron Man cover there. Kind of an Alien ripoff story, but very cool. Fool Killer, come on. And the new Fantastic Four, just books like that. In front of the wall books here, Grey Hulk statue. Pretty cool classic Daredevil and classic Punisher, and the newest Avengers Grey Hulk statue. These are just too huge to put into the case. And then if we can get a look here back at the keys here that I've got here. First Constantine, Tomb of Dracula with blades kind of hiding back there, a little Moon Knight action, and Frank Miller's Wolverine #1. Go ahead and take a look at the Marvel Frankenstein statue as we pull back there. In here we've got my Diamond Directs. Always liked the black Spider-Man, black suit Spider-Man, symbiote Spider-Man suit. Big fan of the Rocketeer. Thought it was a really cool statue. I like Deathstroke, at least his classic costume, and then Krang. Gotta love Krang. Over here is the smaller Hulk statues, mostly the gray ones. The Iron Studios 1/10 Avengers one, which I thought was kind of neat. Actually got for a deal because I bought some of these bigger ones. Down here we've got the Dr. Fate. These are all model kits. And I've never really seen them anywhere else. One of them I had a friend paint for me. The other 2 were painted and modeled myself. The giant one was a 3D model that I had a friend resin print and painted myself. It just turned out really nice. And then the little Mezco 1/12 Dr. Fate over there. Wolverine statue, the one that I liked best. Little Psylocke statue, and the Juggernaut, which came broken and had to be repaired. The leg had to be put back on and repainted. So a lot of reworks on some of these things, but it's hard to tell. And we got Alucard over here, and the Halloween Batgirl, and Constantine, Hard Hero Daredevil, and Zatanna. And we got my Mr. Fix-It, classic Grey Hulk, and the Green Hulk. These are all Bowens, and that Green Hulk Bowen model face model especially, is fantastic, I think. Back to the Detolf. This is the Frankenstein stuff. That would be my highest graded Frankenstein #1 from Marvel, along with the Remco Frankenstein figure, Ghostbusters, Garbage Pail Kid action. Lots of Megos. There's that Hammer Frankenstein I mentioned earlier. The newest Frankenstein Pop. Just a lot of random Frankenstein figures in here. And then some of my classic Hulk stuff, including probably the first Hulk action figure that came out in the 90s. The big Mego, which I just had to settle for one with pants. I wanted one in the box, but they were just too expensive. And a lot of random things, pins, buttons, Disney pins. I think that's the gray one in the middle there. That one is the McDonald's Happy Meal one, and that's the smaller Mego. I got two of him. There's these other ones down here, with just some other hero clicks and other Frankenstein, and other Hulk stuff. Which brings me over to the Puppet Master figures. Now, there's a separate video on these guys, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time here. If you want to see them, you can check the other videos out, but them in their case, or their crate, or trunk, whatever you want to call it, and Pinhead, too big for the inside, so he's on the out. And an original Puppet Master 1 poster, with a little blade mask. The metallic metal version of the Captain America shield, which I thought looked really cool on this blue wall. All of the pops that I have, most of the pops I have that don't go anywhere else, are right here. Like Jaws ones, I got a spare Dr. Fate and Constantine, and then my Boglin. I actually had an original Boglin, but latex sucks, and old latex just fell apart, and he just had to be junked, so settling for that one. Love that Grey Hulk, that 80-year anniversary one. These are the wall books, and the high-dollar books, the ones that I keep out of reach. And it's the Doc Fate original art. It's the Hard Hero, I think. Grey Hulk statue, big fan of that. All of my superpowers carded figures are here. I know some of them are obscured, but again, space is an issue, so we do what we can here. The last two I got were Steppenwolf and Mr. Freeze, and then I have a Clark Kent, but he was custom carded, which is kind of neat. And then all of the McFarlane ones that just came out are hiding back here. There's a little room for more, but they will be obscured by the Golden Age comics right here. So a lot of Golden Age Frankenstein and EC Horror, Haunt of Fear, Vault of Horror, Tales from the Crypt. Some great covers. My most recent acquisition right there, the zombie cover, fantastic cover. And then a couple loose EC comics, and then some other random pre-code. I've got art tucked away back here in some binders, and then Garbage Pail Kids in these binders, and some cards, and bags and boards for anything new that shows up. First appearance Wolverine. And this was originally going to be a spot for the House of Secrets 92, but I really thought that this Tales from the Crypt, which is probably my favorite cover of all time for Tales from the Crypt, looked better with the Bowen Cthulhu statue, so it stays right here. First appearance of Daredevil, and my big boy right there, first appearance of the Hulk, and there's some other Hulk art tucked in over here. If we move over here, we see my NECA stuff, mostly Jason figures. Holding out for the Part 8 and Part 9. I would love to see that, and then I'll move those Evil Dead ones somewhere else. The Jaws stuff that was too big to fit anywhere else. I've got my They Live and some Halloween. The McFarlane Swamp Thing figure, which is really cool. They Live figures, my original Swamp Thing, and eventually when that Toonie Terrors They Live figure comes out, he will go there. All of the Jaws stuff, let's see if I can open this here. All of the Jaws stuff that I have so far is here. Just a good selection. I really wish I kept that in the box, but I didn't. And if you ever see the tiny TV, I'm not going to turn it on, but it's really cool. It plays almost 6 or 7 minutes of the Jaws movie. Comes with a little remote. It's kind of cool. Let me go back down here. I've got some more NECA horror stuff. That is the signature edition of the Elvira figure and Night of the Creeps, which is a great movie if you haven't seen it. Some space here for the other Universal monsters that are planning to come out soon. So I'm going to put those in there as well. And then some random toys from my childhood down here, along with some new stuff. But That is an original Matchbox Voltron, which I found not too long ago, along with some McFarlane stuff that I just didn't have room for in the other space, and some of these smaller figures, which I just thought were kind of cool that they made. Spin Master stuff. I really like these retro Marvel figures, so I tried to get all of them. I have everything but the Sentinel, because the Sentinel is just too big to put anywhere. Big fan of Sting, so I have Sting's 2 AEW figures. I like the, I don't have any of the original Hasbro wrestling figures, but I like the remade ones that they did, so I got a couple of those. All of the Super 7 Universal figures that I wanted are here. And then Cops and Crooks, started with Bulletproof and ended with Buttons McBoom Boom, just because I like the name. And that puts us pretty much around the entire room, kind of in a nutshell, a little bit more detail. We can look at the rack here real quick. On the middle of the rack, I've just got some of these child horror books. Oh, it's like, I don't know, they came out when I was probably an early teenager, but they're pretty neat. I'm hoping I have another set of these Eternity. These are really hard to find at high grade. I've got another set getting graded, and I'm hoping I can get maybe a 9.8. I'm really hoping I can get a higher grade out of a number 3. Freddy stuff here. Again, these novels, God, they go for so much money on eBay now. I cannot believe. Full set of the Dark Horse Army of Darkness in 9.8, and then Predator Big Game, all 4 issues here. And I'm going to be lazy and just spin this spinner rack. These are my Crimson. Really, I just wanted high grades Crimson, but I ended up finding Signature Series ones because that's just what was out there. Some great covers. Good vampire story. Chromium cover. And actually, this was the first cover I bought. I've got some Jeff Purvis Signature Series Incredible Hulks from his run in here, along with some trades. And then Punisher's up here at the top, my favorite Punisher trade paperbacks, and then regular series number 1, Warzone, or War Journal number 1, Warzone number 1, and just one of my favorite covers, number 58. A lot of glare, sorry. Some random horror on this side. Monsters Attack, if you've never read those magazines, they were like, came out around with Mad and Cracked in the 80s, but it was all monster themed. Pretty cool stuff. My favorite cover and story of the zombie world. If you haven't read Eat Your Heart Out, you should. Kelly Jones, like the modern day Bernie Wrightson. My handbooks, Marvel and DC, the DC Who's Who, Marvel Update, and then just some random stuff I put down here at the bottom, because that's where I had room to fit it. My wife's Pluto comics, and some Disney and some random Classics Illustrated, Golden Age, Golden Key stuff. Just some random key books that I have featured in here. Some X-Men, Moon Girl, Devil Dinosaur. Another one of my favorite covers from the Herb Trimpe era. Batman and Hulk. We've got my one and only sketch cover, because big fan of Dexter, and I couldn't pass that up. Signed Constantine number 1, because I love that cover. Just some other random first appearances. So that is the room. I think I covered everything, and I hope you enjoyed it.